Imagine meeting the person you could have become 10 years from now. The strongest version of yourself, the healthiest version, the most confident version, the most successful version. Now imagine the person looking at you and asking one simple question. Why did you stop? Why did you stop taking risks? Why did you stop believing you could do more? Why did you settle for a life that was smaller than the one you are capable of building? The uncomfortable truth is that most people never reach their potential, not because they aren't talented, not because they aren't intelligent, but because they slowly convince themselves that average is enough. And once that happens, growth begins to disappear. This is Revlytic, where ideas meet the road. Tonight we're talking about why so many people never become who they could have been, and perhaps more importantly, how to avoid becoming one of them. Take a deep breath, enjoy the drive, and let's begin. Most people assume that reaching their potential requires extraordinary ability. They look at successful entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, and leaders and imagine that those people possess something special that they themselves don't have. But if you study enough successful people, you begin to notice something interesting. The biggest difference is rarely talent, it's rarely intelligence, and it's almost never luck alone. More often than not, the difference is consistency over a very long period of time. The tragedy is that most people never discover what they're capable of because they quit long before they get the chance. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, nothing appears to happen. No visible growth, no visible progress, no visible reward. But underneath the surface, roots are forming. Preparation is taking place. The future tree is being built in silence. Most people dig up the seed before it has a chance to grow. They mistake a lack of visible results for a lack of progress. And that's exactly what happens with goals, careers, businesses, fitness, learning, and personal growth. People give up during the invisible stage. Another reason people never reach their potential is fear, not fear of failure. Ironically, many people are willing to risk failure. What they fear most is uncertainty. They fear leaving their comfort zone. They fear trying something new. They fear being judged. They fear looking inexperienced. They fear being wrong. The comfort zone feels safe because it is familiar. But comfort has a hidden price. The price is growth. Everything you want exists outside the boundaries of what feels comfortable today. Confidence is not built by waiting until you feel ready. Confidence is built by repeatedly doing things before you feel ready. That's how growth works. You act first, confidence follows later. Many people spend years waiting for motivation. They tell themselves they will start when they feel inspired, when they feel energized, when they feel prepared. The problem is that motivation is unreliable. Some days it appears, some days it doesn't. If your progress depends entirely on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. Successful people learn something different. They learn how to act even when motivation is absent. They build systems instead of relying on feelings. They understand that discipline often creates motivation, not the other way around. Another hidden obstacle is distraction. Modern life is filled with endless opportunities to avoid meaningful work. Every notification, every short video, every scroll, every unnecessary distraction. Individually, they seem harmless. Collectively, they consume years of our lives. The danger isn't that distractions are evil. The danger is that they make average living feel productive. Hours pass, days pass, months pass, yet nothing truly important moves forward. Potential is not lost in dramatic moments. It's often lost in small daily choices repeated over time. One of the greatest misconceptions about potential is that people believe it's fixed. They imagine that their abilities today represent their limits forever. But human beings are remarkably adaptable. Skills can be learned, knowledge can be acquired, confidence can be built, discipline can be developed, communication can improve, leadership can be practiced. The version of yourself that exists today is not the final version, it's simply the current version. The future version depends largely on the decisions you make from this point forward. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. What would that person thank you for doing today? Would they thank you for avoiding challenges? Would they thank you for staying comfortable? Would they thank you for procrastinating? Probably not. They would likely thank you for starting the project, starting the business, starting the workout, starting the habit, starting the conversation, starting the journey. Because every meaningful transformation begins with a first step. Not a perfect step, just a first step. The truth is that potential is not something you discover overnight. It's something you uncover gradually. Every challenge reveals a new layer. Every obstacle teaches a new lesson. Every setback develops new strength. Every year of consistent effort reveals abilities you didn't know you possessed. The people who reach extraordinary levels are not always extraordinary from the beginning. They simply stay in the game longer than everyone else. They continue when progress feels slow. They continue when results are invisible. They continue when doubt appears. And eventually their persistence creates outcomes that look impossible to others. As we approach the end of tonight's drive, consider this. The gap between where you are and where you could be is often smaller than it appears. Not because the journey is easy, but because the first step is usually much simpler than we imagine. The future version of yourself is being created right now by today's decisions, today's habits, today's actions. The question is not whether you have potential, you do. The real question is whether you're willing to give that potential enough time, effort, and consistency to reveal itself. Thank you for spending this time with Revlytic. If tonight's journey gave you something to think about, then it was time well spent. Until our next drive, stay curious, keep growing, and never underestimate what you might become. This is Revlytic, signing off.